Hey, my name's Tyler Bryan and welcome to Living High, Wild, and Free. If you want to learn how to make a stunning sushi dish like this from trout that you caught, you should stick around and watch this video. Hey, welcome to Living High, Wild, and Free. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to do some... I'm not talking to you! Excuse me, I'm trying to do an intro here. Today I'm going to teach you how to do some trout sushi. It's super simple, honestly. Like, making sushi is super simple. It's just intimidating because it's kind of a foreign technique to what we're mostly used to. Like, it kind of makes me uncomfortable. I'm not warming up a pan right now.
Ohio, konbanwa.
Like, just the whole process of that, like, of eating raw flesh.
And the big surprise is the bass is raw.
It's just unique, but once we get over that factor, it's actually super easy. This is from a rainbow trout here that I caught earlier this month. And the way I prepared it to get ready for sushi is that I dispatched the fish right away, and then I cleaned it, and then I let the fillets freeze. So the duration of freezing is supposed to kill off all the potential parasites. Now, stock trout, the likelihood of them having parasites is extremely low, so that's why I like using them over like a lake trout, which is naturally reproducing here in Saskatchewan. I like to be a little bit cautious when I'm eating meat. I have gotten food poisoning in the past, not from sushi.
Oh no, not again.
So I'm a little bit precautious about it. I really don't want to do that again. It was terrible. So I let it freeze for about a month now, which is plenty of time, just in a regular deep freeze. Sushi is actually really simple to put together. It's not many ingredients. We just have our meat, which is the rainbow trout. We have some vegetables. I have cucumber and some carrots that are just sliced very thinly. And then some rice. You're adding it's basically like a vinegar-based sauce that helps flavor the rice to it. And the biggest thing with sushi is the consistency of the rice. That you want it to be sticky but not too sticky, and you want it to be wet but not too wet. And so that's where it gets a little bit finicky and can really mess up the whole sushi rolling process, is if you have either too loose of rice or too clumpy of rice, like it's sticking together too much. I won't go into it too much here in this film just because there's so many sushi making videos out there, and honestly they're probably more qualified than I am. So the key with sushi is the preparation of the meat, that we slowly defrost it. So this was slowly defrosted in the refrigerator overnight, so roughly 20 hours. And just before I shot this film, I pulled it out of the refrigerator, so it's still very cool to the touch. And the surfaces that I'm working on, I've disinfected. Basically everything around this piece of meat I've disinfected, just in case there's some sort of bacteria that could start to grow on the meat before we eat it. We just thinly slice it, like so. And there are still some bones here along the lateral line that I'm going to work my blade down so we can see these pieces of bone right here. And I'm just going to cut those out like so. I've heard that you can just, refreeze it, it'll be okay, like whatever sushi you don't use. I've done that before, but honestly, it's kind of risky, and I would rather be safe than sorry. And so whatever I don't use for the sushi, I just cook up and I eat just later on. Alright, so we're ready to make the sushi. So I just have a strip of seaweed here, and think the camera should be able to pick this up here. So you see how one side's kind of glossy and the other side's like a semi-gloss. This side's rougher. It's easier to see in person, but we want the glossy side to be on the outside of the sushi roll, so we'll flip this over just like so, and we'll take some of our rice. I find it to be easier to use something that's long and flat like this to help smooth everything out and make it even. You can see just how sticky the rice is, that even though I'm trying to get it off my finger right now, it's just sticking to it, and that's perfect. I'm just pressing and prodding and trying to get the rice to kind of break apart and spread out evenly. And towards the center, I'm just going to lay down a strip of fish. Carrot. So. And all the while I'm doing this, I'm thinking about evenness, that the meat throughout the roll will be even, the vegetables throughout the roll will be even, and that's just takes a little bit of piecing things together, right? So I have the wider part of the cucumber on this side and the thin pieces meeting in the center. So as we progress through the roll, it'll be as even as possible. The rolling process is best if we kind of eat the two pieces like so. And we're just helping the roll, and we're applying firm, gentle pressure as evenly as possible. And now I'm just shaping it. I'm just trying to get it to form a circle. And there you go. Just like that. My fillet knife, which is honestly just the sharpest knife that I have in the house. You want the sharpest knife, and you gotta sharpen it before you even try to cut into the sushi. Otherwise, if you take a dull knife, it's like trying to cut a tomato with a dull knife. It'll just squish everything everywhere. So your sharpest knife that you have, mine just happens to be a fillet knife, so that's what I'm going to use. And just cutting the strips. Like so. Not bad looking sushi for just some Joe Blow in his house, and some trout. I'm just going to show you real quick before we dive into the sushi. One of my favorite sauces to pair with the sushi, and different sushi houses seem to call us different things, like dragon sauce or special sauce.
There must be 50 customers out there. It's unbelievable. What do you put in that sauce?
Well, you start off with a little lemon juice and some ketchup.
All it really is just mayonnaise, a little bit of lemon juice, maybe like a teaspoon of lemon juice, roughly 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, and some sriracha. The amount of sriracha depends on the person. I like it a little hot, so I put a little extra in there. And we just mix that up until we get kind of an evenness to the color like that. Alright, let's dive into that sushi. One critique right off the bat that I have for myself: I put too much rice and not enough veggies or meat in there. You can see that there's a whole lot of rice on that sushi roll, but it'll still be good nonetheless. Take a little bit of my secret sauce. Trout is so mild. When you cook it, it brings out a lot of the fishiness of the meat. when it's raw, it's so sweet and mild. Like there's a very, very, very subtle fishy flavor to it. So you know that you're eating sushi. It's not like you're like, oh, this might be chicken. You definitely know that it's fish, so you know there's a little bit of that fishy flavor to it, but it's got the sweetness and it's so mild that, you know, it pairs so well with these light vegetables that I put in there with the carrots and the cucumber. It'd go really well with avocado and cream cheese as well, but the flavor's spot on. I love trout sushi. Like honestly, it's one of my favorite parts of winter is to be able to you know, properly care for the fish so that it freezes right away. You don't have to worry too much about there being any kind of botulism in the meat or anything like that. So I highly recommend it. It's intimidating because we're not frying anything. Like there's no butter involved. Like what? But once you get past that and just allow yourself to have some fun with it, like who cares if the sushi roll doesn't turn out, like the flavor's all the same. I highly recommend it, and if you do try it, tag me in an Instagram post. Like I'd love to see if what people are doing with it. Like what are you adding to it? Like are you adding some crazy ingredients like jalapenos or something bizarre like that? Like I'd love to know that, so tag me on Instagram at Living High, Wild and Free. And thanks for watching this. If you haven't already, you should hit the subscribe button. I mean, where else are you going to find content like this? Nowhere. And as always, keep living high, wild, and free.